Come on, put your hands together. Yay!
G'day, Mullingar. Yes, I am Australian. I'm not doing a shit accent. I'm an Australian, but I married an Irishman for my sins, and so I ended up in Mayo the last 7 years. Most often the question I get when I explain that I'm from Australia but I live in Mayo is, why? And I have to say, I just fucking love Mayo. I do. Australia spends 6 months of the year on fire lately, so Mayo is far more hospitable, and the Irish are just lovely. And it transpires, I've got a bit of Irish genealogy, don't we all, of course, but I'm not one of those wankers who turn up from the States and go, I'm Irish. I'm like, we don't sound fucking Irish. But karma being at what it is, I have for years and years made jokes about the Americans who turn up and claim to be Irish and rock up to poor Dubliners and say, hey buddy, where can I find the leprechauns? Now, my ex-husband grew up in Donamead, and when Americans would come up to him in the street and say, hey buddy, where can I find the leprechauns? He would say, Dingle. Because it was the furthest point he could think of to send the Americans. However, when we moved back here, about 7 years ago, we had to room in with his folks. So on a weekend, I would like to get out for a bit of a drive and see the countryside, because I've always wanted to see Ireland. And one weekend, he said, well, where do you want to go? And I said, Dingle. And he's like, what, do you have any idea how far away it is? I'm like, yes, I know, you sent the Americans there, but I want to fucking see it. So he got down there, and he was raging, because it was so fucking beautiful. He realised he'd done them all a favour. It was probably one of the best bits of Ireland. And he'd been stuck in Donamead the whole time. But as I say, karma is a bitch. So having made all these jokes about Americans turning up and wanting to see Ireland, last year I had to get a day job. So I took a job as a tour director working for a company that deals mainly with Americans. So I had to babysit a load of Yanks on a bus going all the way around Ireland, and a couple of times we had to take them over to London as well. And well, their peculiarity shone through. It's amazing. We of course have a very neutral policy towards politics in a tour group, because everyone has to have a lovely time and everyone has to be on the same bus. So you don't want Democrats and Republicans litigating the 2020 election. But Trump voters make themselves known. There's just nothing you can do about it. Democrats you can spot because they sidle up to you and apologise for Trump. The Trump voters, however, make themselves known the first night. We have a welcome dinner and drink, and then they all toddle off to their bedrooms to charge for the next day for the tour around Dublin. But the Trump voters, they linger. I have a question. Okay, lay it on me. Do people in Ireland like Trump? Well, some of them do. Why only some? I'm like, oh, okay, well, I have to be diplomatic about this, obviously. Well, Ireland is a very diverse country with lots of different opinions. And besides, I said, try to jolly things up, Joe Biden's a Mayo man. So, we claim him as the second Irish Catholic president after JFK. Oh my God, this is such a stupid country. If they think Joe Biden's a great president, we shouldn't even be here. I'm like, okay, let's sort of set the tone for the next week together, but try to jolly them along. But these people are so set in their, let me say, how can I phrase it? They're so reactive. They're so looking for offence. But you can't say anything without offending them. We're driving along on the bus, I'm on the mic, I'm just spitting bullshit out the countryside, just for something to say, something to see. I might say, I know the skyline, guys, if I talk over, they've got a wind farm. They've got 100% renewable energy in some of our utility companies. And all you can get is what you like, but oil. Trump needs to release the oil reserves. This is like, you offended them by talking about wind farms. And then, of course, they make themselves known by not really understanding, well, mythology for a start. They're so American-centric that they can't relate to anything outside the little scope. And so we were driving along, and I said, again, just making conversation, there's the road to Feathered in Tipperary, guys. Feathered has a really fine example of a Sheila the Geek in its medieval wall. Sheila the Geek is a goddess of fertility who is portrayed with her labia spread, grinning to remind men where they all come from. And all I could hear from the back was she a prostitute? No, she was more a goddess, I said diplomatically, going on. And again, by the time we stopped for coffee, all the Democrats are now just flocking to me to apologise for the compatriots. I can't believe these people represent our country. It's all quite so cringy. But the worst thing to look out for in a tour group is the group leader, the group within the group. Because we've got a whole busload of Americans, but there might be a family travelling together. And a group leader is someone who has basically got a free ride on the tour by roping all her mates into it. So she's got a certain amount of people coming along, she gets a free ticket. They don't know that. Generally, they think they're all paying the same. But the group leader wants to be boss. And it's really interesting because they're so based in patriarchy, the Americans, that they always believe the man. So, when I went on my shadow tour with an Irish tour director to learn the ropes, they were basically just dry humping his leg. Like he'd say, okay, we're going to stop here for a coffee break, and they'd be like, oh yes, Daddy, tell me where to go. And when I would go, okay guys, we're just going to pull over here, they'd go, are you sure we're in the right spot? And they'd check with the Irish male bus driver. Because an Australian woman can't possibly know anything about Ireland. They're right, of course. But it's interesting. I discovered that every tour director just makes it up as they go along. I'm not okay with that, really. It's always been a bit of a struggle for me in Ireland because I'm an Aussie and we tend to talk very straight, whereas the Irish tend to hint, or they tend to obfuscate or tell you what you want to hear. So there's really successful Irish tour directors, and then there's me who come along, and when someone says like something very, they like to just point to obscure hills and say, what's that called? And an American thinks that every tour director should know the name of every hill and every church. And I thought, even if you were born in Ireland, particularly if you're born in Ireland, you generally haven't travelled to every county. You generally don't know what's in the next county, let alone the name of every street in every county on the island. So I was taught that the best thing to do is call every church St. Arbuck's. And they never get it. But the most cold-blooded shit I ever saw with convincing an American of something that doesn't exist came from a bus driver. Now this bus driver had the Americans convinced that only the black cows can give the cream that tops up your Guinness. And I thought no one can be that gullible, but I saw him do it twice. And the second time, I heard it from the back of the bus. Hey, honey. Yes, dear? When you had a Guinness last night, did they take it to another bar to be topped up? Yeah, they did. Wow, the bus driver just told me that's only the black cows that give the cream for the topping. Did you like it? Yeah, I did, honey. Great. It's like, I thought, these people can't be real, but they are. However, you get the other kind who are so nervous about any ignorance that they have to sit on Google up the back of the bus. So if you make the mistake of saying, over there in 1853, they'll come a little voice from the back of the bus going, Google says it happened in 1854. It's just like, why? Why do you have to, why did you come along? And the thing is, none of them did any research in advance, but then they just sit there, wanting to catch you up like it's a pop quiz the whole damn time. But the most important thing is, of course, I've got to keep my comedian chops from them because they are so easily offended. So a lot of them are conservative Christians. And try as I might, I just look like I do. So the last time I was in Galway, they put in an appraisal of me and sent it off to my boss, and it said, it looked like she couldn't wait to get away from us in Galway. She had other plans for the evening. And I was like, what on earth? And then I realised I had had coffee in the lobby with 3 of my male colleagues, 3 other tour directors on other tours because they booked us all in the same hotel. So these guys on their little American tour in Ireland, all the time they were sitting there drinking whiskey and smoking their cigars, looking through the windows, they thought I was hot to trot with people in the lobby. So that was their impression of Ireland. But I think the cutest moment on the bus was when the driver was teaching them Irish words, and they of course came up with the inevitable term, pogue my home. But the driver, of course, put up your hand if you know what poke my home means. Come on. Of course you all do. Kiss my ass. Well, the driver, of course, did not want to offend any of the conservative Christians on the bus, so he wouldn't actually tell them what it is. And he told them to Google it a bit later on in private. But they Googled it on the bus. So just, you know how when you have the soundtrack of the Kitty Tidy, you know, trad in the background, just in between tracks, there's a sudden, loud voice from Google as she announced very brightly, poke my hole means kiss my ass. It went down like a bucket of cold sick among the conservative Christians, but at least it gave me plenty of material. You've been fabulous, Mullingar, from my bottom to yours, poke my home, and I'll see you when you got nothing on.
Everyone from Mummy Duke.